Hi everyone, Olivia here at Philadelphia's Magic Gardens with our monthly PECO Family Jams activity. And this month, our activity is coming from Megan at the Clay Studio, and she is going to be showing you how to make clay animal heads in front of their very own Isaiah Zagar mosaic at the Clay Studio. So take it away, Megan. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Megan from the Clay Studio, here to show you guys how to make a pinch pot animal head using some air-dried clay. You can pick up your air-dried clay from Philadelphia's Magic Gardens for their PECO Family Jams, or you can make your own at home using some flour, salt, and water. In addition to your kit materials, you're also going to need a small container of water, some sculpting tools like a skewer, chopstick, or plastic utensils, and it's a surface to work on top of. I'm using a piece of canvas, but you can use a piece of scrap paper or scrap fabric or anything just to protect your surface. Okay, so you guys have your air-dried clay. If you made your own salt dough using flour, salt, and water, it'll be a little bit stickier than what I'm working with, but it'll work just the same. So once you've got all of your materials, you're gonna grab your piece of air-dried clay and peel off a piece for decorations later and just set that aside. Now I've got my ball of clay and I'm going to make it into a sphere. You can see I'm just sort of cupping my hands, making it into a nice ball. Now that I've got my ball, I'm going to start making my pinch pot. The way we like to make pinch pots is you just stick your thumb right into the center. You don't want to push all the way through. You do a little wiggle test to make sure you got it in all the way. And then you're just going to start pinching around the edges. As you pinch, you want to rotate your clay so that you don't end up having one spot too thin. You're just going to keep pinching all the way around till you have a nice dome. And this is going to be the base of your head. Don't worry too much about any pieces that are getting a little funky looking, like I have a little spot there. You can smooth all that out later. If your clay is a little bit soft, you might want to take a piece of scrap paper and stuff inside to help hold the form while you're building your animal. So now that I've got my dome, I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. And I'm going to think about what animal I'm going to make. Clearly, I like cats. I have 2 cats at home, but these are just some examples. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to put together one of those cats. Think about the different features your animal might have. Most of them will have ears, eyes, a nose, a mouth. My cats also have whiskers, or you can get a little fancy and add other features like a fish or a paw print. You can make realistic creatures, you can make made-up ones, whatever you're thinking. And for the first, I'm going to start with my ears. So I'm going to pull off 2 pieces of clay that are about the same size. I like to start by rolling them into a little ball and then flattening them into a little almost slab of clay. And as I'm flattening it, I'm sort of shaping it into that triangle shape. So I've got one ear. Now I'm going to do my next one. Okay, so I've got 2 triangles that are about the same size. I can sort of go ahead and position my different features on, but they're not stuck on yet. But I'm going to just make all my pieces and then stick them on later. Next, I'll grab 2 pieces of clay for eyeballs. Again, I'm going to start by rolling them into a ball and then just sort of shaping them. For my cat eyes, I want to do a little bit of like a almond shape. So I've got 1. Ooh, maybe that's a little too big. Now I've got a 2nd. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Next, I'm going to make a little triangle nose. Same thing, roll a little ball of clay. Shape it into a little bit of a triangle. You guys can see where I'm going. I'm going to do some little coils for my whiskers to make them 3-dimensional like this one here. So to roll a coil, you're going to take a piece of clay and gently roll it on the tabletop. You don't have to worry about how thin or thick your coils are because they're being supported by the body of the animal. So I'm going to make my coils pretty thin so they're nice and tiny. So once you roll your coil out, you can take your skewer or sculpting tool to cut out little pieces or just pinch them off with your fingers. I'm going to go for 3 whiskers on each side. Cool, and I've got a little bit of excess. Now that I've got my features sort of laid out, I'm going to go ahead and start attaching them. And this is where your little bit of water comes in. So your water is going to work like your clay glue. It's going to help us attach these different pieces. So anywhere you're attaching 2 pieces of clay, you're gonna need to scratch. Scratch both the pieces and where you're attaching it. Add a little bit of water, that's your glue, and attach. So everywhere 2 pieces of clay are touching, you're going to scratch and attach. This is something that is very important in all ceramic. Oops, see, I almost forgot my scratching there. Now attaching. So, see, if you don't do it, your eyes are just gonna fall right off. So you're gonna scratch. A little bit of water, and I'm just dabbing my finger in. You don't need a lot of water. If you have too much water, it might end up getting a little muddy. Again, we're gonna scratch. Scratch. And attach. Do the nose. I like to lay out all my features and sort of figure out where they're going before attaching, but if you want to, you can go ahead and attach as you go instead of doing it at the end. So, got that? I did make my whiskers out of coils, but another option would be using a skewer or another sculpting tool to just scratch those into the surface. So if I wanted to, I could just use that pointy end to scratch in whiskers instead of attaching them. So I'll show you guys that one. And then you can also go back and use, sometimes I like to use the blunt end of my skewer to do features like maybe I want to put some pupils on the eyes. You can also take your finger to make some dents maybe if you want to make like the ears a little bit more concave. Lots of different things. And the last thing that I feel like I'm sort of missing on this cat is the mouth. So I'm going to actually scratch that in, but again, you could make that out of a coil too. After you finish making all the different features on your pinch pot animal head, you can set it aside and let it dry for 24 to 48 hours until it's nice and hard. After it's hardened, if you would like to, you can add paints. Acrylic paints work really well, just basic ones you can get from the craft store. You can also try coloring it with markers or any other colorful materials you have at home.